That beep is still there. Hmm. Okay. Okay, so last week we started off the user administration. It's not too much complicated here. So normally what happens is these are local users, but I'm going to touch base on it how things work. Normally, in the most big environments, Active Directory is being used, which is a Microsoft Windows product. And it's probably because of Active Directory, Microsoft is doing so good because a lot of big corporation they couldn't get off Active Directory. So I myself don't know much about Active Directory, but I'll uh, we'll do it together here and figure out how those things work. But at the moment, we are only worried about the user administration within Linux environment. Okay, so last week we added a user, and the command to add a user is user add, and then the name of the user. And then what happens is you do that, it goes and edits this file, etc password. Okay, this is the password file, and what it does is it adds the user in here. And then these are the other system generated users here, but I'm not worried about that. Honestly, I never have to worry about and play around with this here. But you're welcome to if you wanted to play around. These are some of the users that starts the service here. Uh, Shutdown, halt, mail, operator, FTP. So I mean, at this moment, don't worry about it too much, okay? So how then there is another file in here. I talked about etc. So let's go ahead and take a look at that file. Okay, what this is a configuration file. It's a login definition file. So this file is a template how the users are being created, okay? So for example, you could control in here. In here you could control it says a password maximum days. So you could set control in here and set the maximum days after the user need to change the password. You could set a time in here or the days in here. So most corporations, they keep it 180 days or 90 days, whatever, months or 6 months. Okay. And then it goes down to how many minimum days, what is the minimum length of the password, and then how many days before the password is set to expire. Okay, you could set that in here. And then this is a UID. So you could change it in here. What is the default UID is going to be. So we created a brand new user and it gave the UID 1000. So it's coming from here, from this series. If we add another user, it will give the next available ID, which would be 1001. Okay. So it's going to go up to 1001 to up to 60,000. This is the limit here, but you could change it. You could make it unlimited. Okay. And then similarly, you have 201 is the system accounts, and 999 is the maximum here. So, and GID is a group ID. So it starts from 1000 itself here, and then also it goes in. I mean, what I'm trying to say is you could manipulate all these things, but these are the ones which are default here. And over here it says create home. What does create home means is when you create an ID, it's going to create a home directory. Home directory, what is the home directory going to be? Home / Zafar / bin / bash. Okay, if this is set to no, then the home directory will not be created. Okay, so this is the default UMask. Did we talk about? No, we never talked about UMask here. So it's coming up here. So we're going to skip at this moment. Okay, so this is all there to this login file. Guys, I want to ask the notes I'm putting in, are they clear? I mean, do you really have video to follow the notes or you could get it? I'm not putting too much explanation here. I'm just mostly putting commands in here, what comes next after each command.
I think at this level, it's fine with Zafar, and if more explanation is needed, videos are available, and
Yeah.
that can be referred to.
I see nobody's watching the video, so that's what I'm thinking, but I'm putting the videos out there too. Okay. So we created the user, but we have not created the password. Okay. So let's see here. If we try to go into login as user, it's a new session here. And I hit enter, it's going to ask for the password, and I'm putting any password in here. It should deny permissions because the password is not set. Okay. So the command to set the password is PASSWD. Okay, and then the name of the user. So it's asking to set the password. So you type Red Hat, and then the user password is ready here. Okay. Okay, so password.
And how do we set it to expire, Zafar? So when the user login at first time, it should be expired and should be forced to reset the password.
Yeah. So this is there. We'll go to, there is one more configuration file. I think it's in here. Length days. This is expired. Here's tools use spam. Okay, give me one moment here. Um, so, okay. Okay, well, normally those things are managed by the LDAP or Active Directory, but we'll get there. I know there is one more file we need to edit for the password here. Okay, so to set the password, all you have to do is the command password. It will ask you to put in the new password here. So what will happen if I'm just putting password and hit enter, still asking for the password?
Yes, it's asking you to change the user password.
Yeah, you got it right. You're changing the user password here. Okay. So when you the password, where is the password being stored here? You could actually see the password. Okay. You have to go into cat etc shadow. Name of the file is shadow. Okay. And the password is alphanumeric number here. So this is the password here, but you cannot really see the password. I lied. This is actually the alphanumeric number of the user password. Okay, so let's see here. This is the password key.
But can this be decoded from a security perspective as well?
If you have access to the decryption software, yes. All these are created by humans, right? So they could break it too. But I don't know how to do it. I mean, uh, I'm pretty sure FBI, all those people, they could crack it. It's not a big deal.
Okay, but
But
it's as secure as the normal Apple password is basically.
Apple password?
Yeah, when we have password in Java or on iOS or something like that, they say it's been encrypted.
Yeah. Apple, Android, all those running Linux.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty compared to anything else out there. This is the standard one. There is much more encryption out there, a special software you could use. But the one default which is coming with the Linux operating system is pretty secure, very secure. Sometimes Linux is called unbreakable Linux. Okay, I'll show you one trick here. So pass login as Zafar, and then the password. Okay, so it is reminding that somebody tried to log in here. So I'm logged in as Zafar here, and then when I first log in, it throws me into my own directory, which is home/Zafar. All this is coming from the login definitions. Create home. If you set this as no, it will not create a home directory. Okay. All right, good. So either you could use a command line to create a user, or you could directly go into the file and create a user itself in there. So let's go and let's create another user, vi etc password. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create Zafar 2. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. What is the command to copy the line? So to copy the single line, type
Just
YY.
okay.
Do you see?
Yeah. Why what?
Yep, very good. You type YY and then just push P, it copies it down below. Okay, so I'm going to edit it here. It's going to be Zafar 1. And then user ID is 1001. Group ID is going to be 1001. And then the directory is going to be Zafar 1 bin bash. Okay, if you don't have bin bash, I'll explain you the user would be left without the prompts here. So I'll show you later on. Okay, and if I do Control X, I saved an exit. Okay. Now to see if there is a user available, simply what you have to type is ID Zafar, and it says Zafar 1 is available. So I'm going to type. So if I type ID and then the name of the user, it will give you the information regarding that user. That means the system has confirmed that the user is created here. We don't have to use the command, password command. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, the output. Okay, so if you're able to create a user, then you should also be able to copy password using the password file or the shadow file. Okay, so let's do shadow. Okay, let's go all the way down. And here's the uh, here's the from the previous one of the other users. So what I could do is I could do YY and I do paste. Okay, so it copied it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to Zafar 1. And it's going to keep the same exact password as Zafar. Okay, all right, let's get out of this and then save and exit. Okay, so it saved it now. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in as Zafar1. Okay, okay, it says could not directory to home directory Zafar1. Okay, so let's it's telling us that the home directory is not there. So can somebody tell me what happened here? We have to change the home directory to Zafar1. So we did this. Home directory. Okay, let me exit and come back in again. User ID. Okay, cannot find the name for group ID 101. Okay.
I think the way you add the user in @c/password, you have to add the group as well.
I did this here, right? This is the user. This is the group.
No, yeah, but this is the password file, so this is for the user, right? Those are the users. But that group, there is a group file in FC folder.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. So there is another file called groups. GR. Okay. Yep. So what you do is simply just copy from the previous one and add it Zafar1 and then make this 101. Okay. Now, if I log in, let me exit this here. Says access denied.
The ID is wrong.
Oh, I'm not in my mood today, guys. Sorry. Could not share to home directory, home Zafar1, such as file or directory. Okay. Okay. Now I know. What you have to do is, there is one other thing that you have to do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to CD home and then I'm going to hit enter and I do ls-l. Okay, so there is a folder in here, Zafar, but there is no folder here, Zafar1. So what you have to do is you have to create a folder Zafar1 here. And the permissions have to be set as same here. So don't worry about this.
But Zafar, when we create the user using the add user or password,
Yeah, we don't have to go through all this trouble.
okay.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that was the question. Yeah.
Yeah, the use case would be to the use case is like if you're creating some restrictive ID, you could use this. Like if you're creating a SCP ID or only FTP only ID, you could create these kind of things here because there would be some users who don't want to have access to the folder or anything like that. All they need some level of access to the server. That way that way the user could have some level of access, and that would prevent the user from running any other commands.
Okay, like service profiles, etc. Right?
I didn't hear you.
Like service profiles.
Exactly. Service profiles. Okay, let's see if it's gonna work. Okay, the permission denied. So let's take a look here what's going on.
Zafar, you have to add a line, Zafar one in login definition file also.
No, the login definition, let's take a look at here. For login definition, okay, where do I do that? No, the login definitions, you don't have to do anything here for if you're creating an ID manually. So, well, the only thing you have to do is ls-l directory, and the user is root here. So I forgot to set the user to Zafar and Zafar. Okay.
Okay.
Well, the command I'm using, don't worry about it. When I do user administration, when I do the uh, permissions, then I'll show you more about those commands. Okay, so let's do PWT. Okay, so the user is saying here that it has this bash PWT. Okay, now the login looks pretty different from the system generated login here. Okay, so there is also a one file we need to create or we need to copy. It's called bash rc folder here. So let's see here, ls-la. When we type ls-la, what will happen? What does A is for?
Hidden.
Hidden. Very good. Okay. Okay, so over here, if you look, there are three file folders in here. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a look here, because this need to be I think also for the user Zafar one here. So let's see here, ls-la. Okay, so what we are missing here is we are missing two directories here actually. These are the profile directories. So it has a bash.history in here, but okay, yeah. It needs three directories to be copied into this directory here, okay? So how are we gonna do that? Okay, let's take a look.
We can copy or we can just create those files and type in.
No, but it still has some files in there. This is the most important files here.
That's what I was saying. Was if we can cat the bash RC and see what it is in it, and
Yeah.
we can create another using VI bash RC in Zafar 1.
Okay, so actually there is a different process to do that. So what you really have to do is you have to copy it from the skill directory. Okay, let's go back as a root here. So what you do is cd etc scale. Okay, whenever when we create a user using those commands here, it copies these three files to individual local folders of the users. So let's copy this here. Okay, cp etc scale, and then we're going to copy everything that starts with .b. These are the essential files that needed to be in there. And then you could copy home and then the fur one. Okay. All right, let's go in here. ls hyphen la. So these files are in there now. Okay. So do I need to change the permissions? I don't think so. Okay, so let me log in as root.
I think, but Zafar, we should change the permission because we see that bash history has a different permission.
Okay, let's try it out first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zafar, what does a hyphen do? That's substitute user hyphen. I had a special
SU
situation in my
hyphen
job.
means switch user, hyphen is root.
Okay, at my job, I was using a substitute username without a hyphen, and it was not copying a path. So then, whenever I have to run the command, even from the current directory, I was using dot, and then somebody told me that I should use a hyphen, substitute user hyphen, then the username, and it was copying a path as well.
Exactly. Either you do that or you type sudo. Are you typing sudo?
No, sudo is super user, but substitute user, we can give the user name, which user we want to, and then it will ask password for that user as well, right? For sudo, you have to be in the sudo file.
So when you do the SU hyphen and then the
Username.
and was it asking you for the password?
Yeah, it will ask a
Yeah,
password.
you put in your password, right?
No, it will be the password of the user which we are substituting user. My understanding is SU and sudo are two different commands. SU is substitute user and sudo is super user do basically. That is only for root.
Yep, exactly. And if you just type SU hyphen, that means it's a root.
Okay. But if you give SU and then with the hyphen or without hyphen a username, you will be
Then you are
substituting
using
that.
that user.
Yeah. So what my question
This
was
is
that if I
annoying, man. I mean,
use
this.
hyphen, then the path works. If I don't use the hyphen, then path doesn't work. I have to qualify even current directory and in the current directory.
Yes.
So I didn't know what hyphen was doing.
No. When you do SU hyphen,
And then
right
username.
now it's root. And if you type SU hyphen Zafar,
Yeah.
then it will try to switch to Zafar.
Yeah. But it will switch to the Zafar even without hyphen. If you say SU Zafar, it will switch to the Zafar.
Exactly. It does that too.
Yeah. So what this hyphen does here?
As far as I know, hyphen is using it's telling you to switch as a root.
Okay.
You must be the sudo, right? When you have sudo access, you will have uh, you will have access to some commands which only root can run. Okay, but root has access to more commands, but sudo has access to limited commands. Okay, so if a user is sudo, if the user is regular user, they can't see the even the okay. So let's try to cat this information here on a cat etc sysconfig network script and then ifcfg hyphen this one here. Okay, so in this case it's kind of allowing it, but I know for sure at my workplace you as a regular user you won't be able to read this configuration file. You have to be a sudo user, or it depend on each individual company if they want to, if they think this file is a security risk, then they will kind of disable access to this file here. Let me see if I could vi. Yeah, I'm able to vi as a regular user too. So by default there are some files you could automatically have access to. Do I have access to cat etc password? I do. Shadow? No, permission denied. Okay, so let me exit out of here. Okay, let me log in as Zafar as fresh user. Okay, so as a fresh login, Zafar1, and I put the password. So all this, you have all of your commands and access to bash. All this is coming from the bash files here. All these three things, three these three files are essential files, and this is a history files here. It of your commands.
And can we clear that because of the bash that history, bash underscore history?
As a user,
Yeah.
if you are a owner, yes. If you are a owner of this file, looks like in this situation it is. But at your work, you won't have access to it. It will be set as root.
Okay.
So bash as history, it will give you the history of the what is the user is gonna do, what commands the user has done here. So if you want to trace what one of the other users have done or regular users have done, you log in as root and then check the bash history. Okay. So let me just put this together here. Okay, so what we did was we created copied the user here, and then we went in here, um, password file or the shadow file, and we copied the so this is the output. Okay, and then what else we did here? And then we have to make the home directory owner. Okay, we did this. Then we have to copy the files from the scale directory. So which files did you copy? These files here. These are the essential files you copy for it to be working here. So then what will happen is, and what else we did? Okay, that's it. And the user is able to log in as a prompt you want. Okay, so look at the prompt here. If you see a dollar sign in here, that means it's a regular user here. And if it's a pound sign over here, that means it's a root user here, okay? So what will happen when I'm showing you this is sometimes user might find out the root, and then he may be sending you output and telling you that he's running some commands, it's not working. Or that way you could just look at the prompt and tell if the user is using the prompt as a root or as a regular user.
But Zafar, is this any shell dependent, this convention of pound and dollar sign, or it's universal for all shells like corn shell?
You could take away the shell. Okay, so the shell is bash. So the shell we are using here is bash shell here. There are 2 or 3 other. I'm not using it. I haven't used those things. As long as you are admin and as long as you are a root user, you really don't have to worry about those shells here.
K shell is quite popular.
Yeah. So let's see here. Bash is a very common one. Okay, so there is also called a C shell, CHS, CSH. So I think it's not installed.
I think the command is execute, then the shell command. Exec, and then the shell name.
Like this?
EXEC. No, execute. EX.
Okay, we'll see if it's something I have to install here. Yeah, it seems like you have to install that. I always thought it's already built in. And it says Bourne shell is SH. Okay, Bourne shell is available. Okay, I never used it. So if you want, you could just fool around with it and see what happens. To come back, you just have to type bash and you go back there. And there is one more shell called corn shell. The commands will be a little bit different here. So KSH is not there. Okay, so the full form for bash is born again shell. That's what it stands for. So in the old days, it was called born shell, which is just SH. And in the new, then the corn is built in here for the Red Hat. I'm sorry, corn is not built in. Only the born shell is built in. And the regular bash shell. But don't worry about it. As long as you're going to land as a job as a root user, you would be good in those situations here. Okay. I was going to put this prompt here. So do I put it in the notes here, or I'll just put it in here since I already talked about it. Okay. Okay, so far what we did here, so let's go in here, cat etc shadow. Okay, so let's read this file here. So okay, so the very first option you have is Zafar. Zafar 1. So what is this Zafar 1? Zafar 1 is a username. Okay. And then this long character, very long character, what is this? This is a password. I'm going to just shorten this here so that we could just accommodate here. And then you have this number here. Okay, 18097. I think I talked about this 18097 here, and the 0, and then 99999. Okay. So what is this? 18097. Okay, let's put it in Google and see what it tells us. Okay, so actually, okay. So we have 97. It's 9. It's 98. So what is this? December 31st, 1969. This is actually this is when the Unix operating system was created. So they set the date as December 1st, 1969. So there is no way for Unix and any other leading operating system that is using a Linux code to get away from this number here, December 31st. That's a birthday of the Unix operating system. It is very important here. Why why this is being very important is these are the day you will use to calculate the days. This number is important when you have a system running some kind of financial information here. All these things are very important, especially if there is a stock market. By the way, all stock markets run on Linux or Unix or whatever. So all those things are based on the starting date of the operating system here. So to us over here, it says 9/7 here. Here it's saying 9/8 because I think it's picking up the Greenwich time. It's already a day ahead, I think. Is that right? In England, it's already 1 day ahead, right? No, not yet. I'm not sure why it's the Google is saying days since.
Singapore is ahead.
Or maybe is it using the Marina time? Uh, there's a time zone split, right? In Pacific.
Yeah, that's what Maryland is.
What is it called? Maryline?
Maritime something, I think. No, maritime, maritime.
Maritime.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever it is. So it's actually in the middle of a Pacific Ocean. Okay, this is the time zone here. This one which is going what is it? So this one is a day ahead of us. So it's probably the system is calculating this here based on the time here. Okay, by the way, what is my time set to? Okay, so right now the time is Eastern time.
But for that line, they're called international date line. What you're
Okay,
looking for?
so
Yeah,
it's called International Dateline.
yeah. I just Googled that. IDL.
So time is very, very important in Linux system here. When there is a little topic I'm going to cover on time, because when you set the system, all these things are very important because I think I talked about the date stamp, right? A date stamp a file would have. Uh, we talked about it, right?
No, we didn't. At least I don't recall.
Yeah, it's we when we talked about inodes, we talked about it. Okay. So let's see here. Uh, Okay, so right here, when we talked about inodes, this is the date it's actually looking at here. This is the date, and this is the minutes, this is the seconds, and the milliseconds. Look how deep this is going in here. I don't even know milliseconds into milliseconds. About 9 characters, the billionth of a second. Okay, so it's really important. All these things matter because especially all these things matter when you are working for a financial company, stock market, and I think all this matters for military as well as the GPS systems too. Is very important how these things work. But you don't have to worry about it. There is one topic I'm going to cover, NTP, that should help you with that. Okay, and this information it's set to 0 and it's giving you the grace period. So if the password is expiring in 5 days, it's going to expire in 5 days. It's not going to give you any grace period. But you could set the number here. Okay, and when is this going to expire? The real expiration rate. So when you have something set as 9999, it usually we set as 9999. That means it's endless password. Its password never expires. The expiry date is set to never. Okay, and then this one is if this is set to something like 60 days or something, this number will come into play, and this will remind the user that if this is going to expire 7 days, right now is going to prompt you 7 days before is going to expire. So guys, when you are practicing it, to take this as your assignment and play around with this. Set this as 1 day or something, and set it 7 day. When you log in first, it will prompt you that your password is going to expire in so many days. So it will prompt you to change the password. Prompt for password change, and actually it will disable it after so many days. So if you're getting a prompt there to change the password, you've been getting it for a week and you didn't care to change the password, what will happen? On the 7th day, it will disable the account. Okay, let's just keep it that way. Okay, so now we checked what we checked so far. We checked look password file. Now we're going to look into the I'm sorry, we looked into the shadow file. Shadow file, guys, remember shadow file is where the password is saved. Okay, and then the password file is where the user information is saved. Okay. Okay, let's do this here. So let's look at Zafar 1. Obviously, what is Zafar 1? Zafar 1 is just a user. Okay, and then the next prompt is it will prompt for the password. It will actually it will check for the passwords. Okay, and then next item in here is 1001, which is a UID, user ID. Okay, and then there is another 1001, which is a group ID. GIDs, that's what it stands for. And /home/Zafar1, this is the user home directory. Okay, and a /bin/bash, it's you're giving the bash prompt here. Okay, this is where you will, if you want to disable the bash, I think you could take this out and then you could disable it. So let's see what happens here. Okay, let's go ahead and try to remove it and see what happens. Oh, I should log in as Zafar1. Okay, so we took away the bash prompt here. So let's see if we could type bash. So by default, you're taking away the bash prompt and you're just putting into the shell prompt, regular shell prompt. Okay, so I suppose there are two prompts available, which is shell sh, which is already installed, and bash bash. So by removing the file from here, what we did is we took away the bash here. So it's going to default to the shell. So if we so by default is defaulting it to the bash shell. Is why is it defaulting? Because we put it back. Okay. All right, good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the group file here. So what do we have in group file here? We have Zafar and we have X and we have 1001. Okay, so in this file it's just simply all this is easy GID and it's a check for password. And then this is the username. Okay, so now how do we give the access to the user to the some sudo commands here? Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so now what I'm showing you is how to give the sudo access here. What is the sudo access? Sudo access is so user is able to run some commands as if a root is running. Root is running the commands here. Okay, this is a very, very good definition here. That's all I needed. Okay, so how do you access here? It's very, very simple here. What you have to do is you have to make sure this you have to go into this file here, vi sudo. Okay, so you do vi sudo. I think it's in 6 it's a vi sudo, but let's do this is 7, so vi sudo, and all you have to do is make sure this line is uncommented over here. Wheel %wheel all this is what it's supposed to be here. So let's see here. Okay, so if you compare here that it's telling you to uncomment this pond here. So we're not into scripting yet. So when you come into scripting, if you have like not a two, but if you have a single hashtag here, that means this line is unreadable by the system here. So you could put junk in here and system still ignores it. So right now the wheel group is already open on this system here, so you don't need to uncomment it.
So are we saying that 2 pounds is not commented?
All you need is 1 pound. But this somebody put it in extra pounds in here so that it sticks up on your eyes.
Okay.
What I usually do is if I'm making a big, I give myself like a good amount of space here, and then I do like this. I do like this, and then I do like this here, and then I put my code in here so that I know this is the part I came in here and edited it. Okay. Okay. Before I forget, I'm gonna give two more recruiters I have. Contact me, side chat me. Then what I'll do is I'll give you the information for two more recruiters. But make sure don't tell those recruiters you're working with other recruiters. Okay. Everybody heard that, right? I'll take this as yes.
Yes.
So I talked to one recruiter today. I mean, not today, sorry, yesterday. And whoever already have a resumes ready and everything, so I'll give their information, or I'll give recruiter information to you, then you contact them. Okay, make sure you don't tell them you're working with anybody. Okay. So how do you do that? It's very simple. You just follow this here, and then you do user modification, user mod, and then you just run this command here. And then I'm going to give the name Zafar1. Okay, let's see here. Okay, good. So I'm logged in as Zafar1, and let's see if I have access to password file. You would never have access to the password file here, okay? No. In my previous job, when I was working for Apple, there is a list of all the access a regular user would have. Normally, within your organization, they will publish that the sudo access, whoever has sudo access. Okay, sudo access commands. Okay, so let's see here. For example, a regular user should not be able to shut down the system here. So here, Zafar, he doesn't have sudo access. So if I type init6, it should say that logged in also is root user root is logged in on SSH retry operations. So in nutshell, somebody who want to restart the system, it has to be a root here. So let's see if the user who has sudo access is able to restart the system. Okay, so what you type is sudo su hyphen, then you type init6. Now it's asking for your own password, not a root password. Okay. Oh, Zafar1 is not a sudoers file. This, oh, we never ran that command, did we? I'm losing it, guys.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. Okay, let's try it now. Maybe I have to exit once and come back here. Uh, uh, no. So I think the root has to exit too. Zafar is logged in as SSHD. User is logged in as TTYL. Sudo.
So Zafar, why if you're using sudo, why are you using su hyphen then?
My bad, I just realized. Okay, so yeah, Zafar1, if I type sudo init, So I'm not used to be running as sudo because I have root access at work, so that's why it was confusing for me. So the user Zafar1 is able to restart the system. Okay, so that proves that he has some level of super admin access. Okay, so I'm logged in as Zafar. Okay, this user doesn't have a sudo access here. So if I type init6, so it's gonna say, oh wow, oh,
But if you notice, it's authenticating as a Zafar1.
you know why it's doing that? Because I think we didn't, when we copied as a regular user, let's go into a sudo file and take a look. But the user is able to do init6. It's asking for the Zafar1 password.
Right. So there is some kind of link somewhere. But we create this Zafar1 as a manual user. I mean, we add the user manually.
Yes. Okay, let's add a regular user. Okay, then I'm gonna switch to Zafar 2. Okay, we don't have to go through all that trouble when we just use the create a user, but definitely, because if you're using a restricted user, creating a restricted user, I mean. Okay, so let's try to see if I could do init6 here. Okay, so definitely you are not able to. At work, you will get an error message that says the user is not able to do it, or you don't have permissions or something like that.
Permission denied, I guess.
Yeah, that's a classic one. Okay, so you get the idea here. You will actually have a list of published. You will have your internal will have some kind of things that the user may be able to do it. This doesn't have enough information here. But anyway, you guys got the idea, right? Okay, so what we did so far is we added a user here. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a group here. Okay, so you have to do this.
What if you run that command as a sudo user? So for once.
Which command? This one?
No, the add group command, yeah.
Should I run this?
No, Zafar, I'm talking about the add group command. Instead of using root, you use him as a sudo. Like login as a Zafar one.
Oh, you just want to try it?
Yeah, I want to try it like a sudo, see how it works.
Okay.
Zafar by sudo, then group add, So Zafar one is a regular user. Without
Yeah.
sudo work.
I think I gave the wrong permissions here. Uh, so a pseudo user is able to create a.
But if you notice, it doesn't ask for a password, which should ask for passwords.
No, it already asked for password once.
You did? Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
3. Okay, anyway, let's exit out of here. So let me cover group before we end the class today. Okay, so what happens is you have users and you have groups. Okay, so let's see here. All right, this is what I want to copy. Okay, so this is a definition of a group here. So let's move forward. So how do you copy the group here? Usually you will get a request to create a group. Okay, so let's see here. First go in there, cat etc group. You have to go in here and take a look and see if the group already exists here. Okay, so let me officially introduce. So the command to create a group is group add. Okay, then -G, and then we're gonna create a group name 3000, and then I mean gid. This is a group ID. Okay, this is what we're creating here. Group this is actually a group name. Yeah. Okay, so it's a group add -G, and then the group ID is 3000, and then you have to give it the name here. Okay. I'm giving the name developer. Okay, so I go to cat etc group. So it has successfully added the group in here. It's a group name is developer, and then it will check for the password, and this is a group ID 3000. Okay, actually let me change it here. When you creating a ID using password group user add, what it does is it will automatically create a group with the same name. Okay, unless you specify what you're doing, it will automatically create a group name when you are using the user add. Okay, so in my opinion, groups are already in place before you add the user. Okay, group name, check password, git. So we added a group name developer here. So let's see if I could find a picture here how it work. Okay, anyway, if I'll find it, I'll put it in the documents when I upload the documents. Okay, but anyway, so this is how it is. Most of the time, in my opinion, the groups are defined before the users are added. Okay, so what happens is when we're gonna do the permissions, so developer is a group, and then a user could belong to that group and have access to a folder. Okay, so for example, if you want to have access to the folder in your organization, for example, you have this one of these shared files in here. Okay, so each time if the user is a part of if that shared drive is part of a group, then the user inside that group is automatically a part of that group, but he will also automatically have permissions to it. So the user, whatever based on the permission of that group, either you could see, view, or delete or edit the file in there. Okay, it's very important, and you will run across in your day-to-day activity a lot. So now we confirm that the group is in the developer here. Okay, all right. So let's add the user to the group here, okay? So how are you gonna do that? You do user add -u, okay? So what you do is -u is you could specify the existing user ID. Okay, so what you could do is you could specify the user ID here. Duplicate session. Okay, if you don't specify the user ID, what will happen is if you do like user add and then Amir, what it does is it will create a username Amir, and then it will give whatever the available user ID is available, and it will give whatever the so it's a 102 is there, right? So it will give you 103, and then the group ID it will give 103. I mean 1001. Sorry, this is 1000, and it will give 1002, 1003, and this will give 1003. Okay, but that's not a very efficient way to do it. So what you usually have to do is you have to do the username. So user add. Okay, so what you have to do is -u. So what you're doing is user group. So I'm going to look at here, and I'm going to give the group name, the username, user ID. I'm going to give it to something in 3000, 3001, right? What is the phone number, Amir? Last 4 digits.
It's 0172.
0172. It has to start from the 1. So I'm going to give you 1072. Okay. And then now I have to give the group this user is going to belong to. Okay. So either I could, so we created 3000. Okay. And then -c. And then I'm going to give the name developer. And I'm going to give now I'm going to give the username Amir. Okay. I hit enter. So let's go into cat etc password file. So over here you see the user Amir is created, and this is the default. If you want, you could change that also. And this is his user ID, and this is his group ID, and then this is the group name developer, and this is his home name. I'm sorry, home directory, and he have access to bin and bash. Okay. Okay, good. So
Well, Zafar, if we would have not used the switch -u, then that's
it will take next one in line
next
here.
one. Yeah. That's
103
yeah.
and to 1003, 1003, and then it will do rest of the same.
Yeah. Okay. But isn't that is better than enforcing the ID?
So usually, creating a simple user doesn't make sense, right? He have to belong to some group.
The group is fine, but I'm talking about the group ID and user ID, GID and UID.
UID is you could let it default.
Yeah.
But GitHub, most of the time you would need to know the developers will provide you add a new user. If they hire somebody new, add this user, and this is the Git ID. And once all you need is Git ID, and usually you don't care about user ID.
Okay. When we are basically assigning group by add user -g, we just need to mention the group name like developer, and GID would automatically be. Yeah.
You could have done a colon developer too. I haven't tried it. You guys tried it and let me know. So now the password is not set, right? So you just do a set password, or you could do the copy into shadow and then do that way too. You do password. Amir. Okay, let's go into.
But sir, what is the -c switch in user add command? What does it stand for? -u is user, and -g is group, and -c.
Let's take a look here. -c.
Create that developer.
C is just a comment.
Okay.
So if you look at the here, okay, so developer was already there. So if you notice here, this blank part is for the comment here. If I would have not typed the developer in here, it didn't care. This part is meaningless here. It's just the comment. Okay, this is a very good point here. I will put this into the notes here. We are over 1 minute here, but give me 1 more minute. I'll be done. And then if you go into cat etc shadow, so the password for Amir is not created here. Okay, so what we're going to do is PASSWD Amir. Okay, now you see a long alphanumeric number for the password is created there. Okay. Okay, so I think we're out of time. Let's call it today. Then tomorrow we'll continue on with this, and I think tomorrow also all day it will take up the user administration. I'll try to see if I could start something else tomorrow, but probably not. Okay. All right. When the video is available, I will upload it online. All right, guys, please use the chat so that you have access and talk to each other.
Thank you, Zafar.
All right, sure. Allah Hafiz.
Assalamu alaikum.